Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you my September wrap-up. I can't believe it's already October, but without further ado, let's just dive right in. I finished 7 books in the month of September, and I can't wait to tell you all about them. First one on my list that I finished for the month of September was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have not read a Victoria Aveyard book yet. My sister, my younger sister, she's like 10 years younger than me. Her and I are both book nerds. She texts me one day and she's like, oh my gosh, I just found this at Half Price Books. You should read it with me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have had this on my TBR shelf for years. But I haven't actually picked it up because I swear everyone in the booktube community and everyone I talk to is like, nah, it's not that great of a book. The other books are okay, but it's just another dystopian type of, fantasy novel where nothing's new. It's like stories that have already been told. So I've been really reluctant picking this baby up. And I am so glad my sister convinced me to pick it up because I loved it. I love when people are giving books like bad ratings or they're really not that into it. So I go into a book with low expectations and I come out like super high. And I'm like, yes, I love this. What is wrong with everyone? But that's okay. I think that's what made this book that much more special for me. I love the way the bloodline system works. So you have your red bloods and you have your silver bloods. Your red bloods are more of like your commoners, your slave type people, your everyday, just trying to make things work and not get in trouble and raise your family and hope to gosh not get on the silver blood bad side. Silver bloods are more of like your very hierarchy type of people, people that are like your kings or your queens, people that are just kind of your snobby, typical hierarchy type political people. Oh my gosh, the main character, Mare, in this is so headstrong and she is such a good protagonist. Like, I love her. And I love that she doesn't think with her heart. Like, a lot of it is her heart. And she does things because of her heart. But she also has a brain. And so she's constantly trying to decide, is this the right thing that I should do? I know what I'm feeling, what I want to do, but is this something, so she's very, very smart and articulate. And I love that about her. And even though her heart is pulling her one way, her brain is saying nope. And a lot of times she just goes with what her brain is telling her to do and not what her heart, which is great. It's a very strong female, and my dog is messing with my camera. Walter, go lay down, dude. Hi, go lay down. Here, sit, stay. Anyways, I loved this. I am rating it PG, or maybe it was PG-13, I can't remember, but there was a little bit of like blood and gore and violence, but nothing big. I'm pretty sure I did PG. And there was only one swear word in the entire book, and it was the B word, biatch, okay? So other than that, like, I would totally let my middle schooler read this. It was fantastic, it was phenomenal. The betrayal that happens in here, the friendships, the bonds, the character growth, the world building, I loved it. Highly recommend picking up Red Queen. I cannot wait to get into Glass Sword. Is that what it's called? Yes, Glass Sword, which is in the second book. I think my sister has already like pile drived in the second book, but I have yet to pick it up, but it is on my October TBR, so we're just gonna go with that. Loved it, 5 stars. The next book that I finished in the month of September is Mean Street by Sandra Brown. I have yet to even pick up a Sandra Brown book, so this is my first one, and I am so glad I did. This is another 5-star for me. It was a great kind of mystery thriller crime novel. It is about this very well-known woman who is a pediatric doctor that she goes running one day, she's a marathon runner, and then she goes missing. And several days it takes before her husband reports her missing. And lo and behold, they had had like a marital spat before she had left. So of course, all things are pointing to the husband. But he swears up and down that he has no idea where she is or what happened or anything like that. So anyways, you get to have the whole story. Her name is Emery Charbonneau, and she has been taken by this man who kind of starts taking care of her and says that she was injured. Anyways, the whole time I'm thinking, I don't know who to trust. Like, can I trust the husband? Can I trust this man that she's staying with that is like technically kidnapped her? Do I trust her as a character? There's so many different twists and turns, and you have no idea how the story is gonna end. Like, you think you know, but you're wrong, because it totally throws crazy stuff into the middle that you're like, what? But then the sexual tension in it is so astounding. Like, I was just drooling through the whole thing. But at the same time, I'm like, I still don't know who to trust. I loved it. I highly recommend it. I'm rating this R because there was sexual content in it and quite some bad language throughout the book. So it's definitely an adult novel, but I highly recommend it. 5 stars. Okay, the next book that I picked up in September is called Witherwood Reform School by Obert Sky. I've actually met Obert Sky in person at my kids' elementary school. He has visited and signed books. Well, lo and behold, my youngest has started 4th grade, and the first book they've decided to read as a class is Witherwood. And I had never even heard of this book. And there's a second book in it, and I want to say there's going to be a third. There's no way it's just a duology. Anyways, it is a middle grade fantasy type of novel, and I really got some like series of unfortunate events vibes in this. Like, it's very dark, it's just don't look for happy endings kind of a thing, and even just the way it was written is very like Lemony Snicket. I loved it. I'm actually only giving this, I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but I'm really rating it more like a 3.5. The only reason is I loved the atmosphere in this book. There are these 2 siblings who are kind of these mischief makers. Their dad decides to punish them and drop them off at this school, but dad gets in an accident as he's leaving, and he has lost his memory and has amnesia, so he doesn't even know that he's left his children there. But lo and behold, there are also weird things happening in this school. There are these weird creatures. There's like, people can't remember things. They don't remember who they are. They're locked in their rooms at night. They are, you know, it's very weird and morbid in a way. And so these 2 siblings are constantly trying to figure out how to escape the school and how to save the kids from Witherwood, as well as trying to get back to their dad. There's no way their dad would just leave them, right? Anyways, at this, you also don't know who to trust. You don't know what kids to trust. You don't know what teachers to trust. You don't know anyone they come across. You don't know. Can you trust them? Such a great group. If I was a little kid, if I was in middle school, or if I was 4th, 5th, or 6th grade, this would be a great novel. The only problem I had with this book is it never really got to give you any answers. Like, every time I thought it was going to give you a reason or a rhyme on what certain things were, I would end up with more questions. So I felt so like, I got to the end of the book and I'm like, I still don't know. Like, I still don't know about the school. I don't know why there's creatures. I don't know why the teachers are doing what they're doing. Granted, there is a second book that I already have that I will be reading in the month of October, so hopefully that has a lot more answers in it, because all this book did was want me to question more stuff, and just, I have no answers. And maybe he purposely did that on purpose. Mr. Obert Sky. Coming for you, dude. Anyways, 3.5 stars. I can't wait to get into the next one. We'll see how it goes. Rated G, you know, a little bit of violence, but nothing crazy. Nothing that, you know, a kid can't handle. Loved it. Not bad. All right, the next book that I finished in the month of September is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. I've read the Abraham Lincoln Zombie Slayer like years ago, loved it. I finally decided to pick this up because it was September, it's fall, we're getting close to Halloween. I'm like, you know what? I've had this forever on my TBR. It's time to pick this baby up. And oh my gosh, I actually really loved it. And I was worried I wasn't going to, because lately it seems like any whimsical, classic, romantic novels I've like recently hated over the years, because it's like, girl, kiss him. Get on him already, or what's taking so long, or it is so boring. And so I was hesitant to go into this, but I'm like, what's not to like? You got zombies, so bring it on. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It is definitely rated more like PG-13, just because there is some language in it. There is a lot of gore, because you're like cutting up zombies and, you know, opening entrails and all that jazz. And then there was also quite a bit of sexual innuendos that I liked, but wasn't expecting to come from a classic novel per se, but it's of course classic with a modern spin. So I don't know, but it didn't bother me. If anything, it made it more interesting. It made it more modern, I guess, for me, and maybe that's why I liked it. I loved how he could take such a classic book and intertwine these, like a zombie apocalypse, but still get like a romance in there and a love-hate relationship with Mr. Darcy. It was amazing how he could intertwine and then still kind of have them talk like they would in a Jane Austen novel. It was amazing. I loved it. The only thing I wish I just wish there was more zombies. I wish there was more like gore and fighting and just kick-ass scenes. There were some, but I was kind of wishing for more. But other than that, I found this book to be completely fascinating, and I really did enjoy it. 4 stars. Can you guys hear my bulldogs snoring in the background? Every day, all day, snore, snore, snore. Good thing I love them. Okay, the next book that I finished in the month of September, I finally jumped on the bandwagon of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I've never read Sarah J. Maas before, so this would be my first book, and I love her writing. 5 stars. I am rating this rated R because there was quite a bit of sexual content and swearing in it. But OMG, like, what took me so long to get into this book? The love, the characters, the world building, the courts, the magic system, the whole political divide between these fae or fairies and the human world. And then you've got Farah, who's just this kick-ass girl that's like doesn't take anyone's shiz, pretty much. She does her own thing. She's got her own brain, her own mind. She doesn't pretty much have people tell her what to do. This book was phenomenal. I loved it. So of course, after reading this, I couldn't wait to get into A Court of Mist and Fury. And I loved this one even more than the first one, which is really hard to find, because a lot of times the sequel to no matter what series, it's usually the second book is probably like the least boring, or the least, like it's trying to like catch up and give you more information. Thank you, Mr. Police Officer or Ambulance. I hope nobody's hurt, just saying that. But I absolutely drooled through this entire thing. So through Courts of Thorns and Roses, you have Farah, who is taken by the Fae because she has killed one of their own, which is kind of against the law with the fairies, and they bring her to their land, and she's stuck there. And there is King, or Prince King. No, he's just a high Fae. There's no king. Well, there is kings and queens, that's later. But he's a high Fae named Tamlin, and he takes her in, and she has to pretty much live in their world as a human and deal with their political system, and then the wars that are going on between the different Fae courts. And she's just kind of stuck in the middle, and she's this poor human girl that's like, why am I even here? kill me now already, because I just want to go back home, even if home is worse than this place, because I can't deal with you people. And it goes through her story, being stuck in their world, and then how she is suddenly sucked into their political system and their wars, and how maybe she can make a huge difference even though she's the one lonely human. 5 stars, by the way. That was 5 stars. This one, 5 stars for sure. If there was like 10 stars, I would give it. But this one is actually X-rated. There were a lot more sex scenes in here, and they were very vivid and explicit, and a lot more swearing. But oh my gosh, the betrayals that happen in this book, the twists, the turns, the more character building, like Farah, she just keeps growing and growing and growing as a person, and she still is always contemplating how she used to be till now, and then just trying to come to terms with being such a different person than what she was, you know, when the story first began, as well as just building friendships and the bonds that she has with these people, and then just trying to be such a strong person, not for herself, but for everyone else around her, and then just not giving up. I love it. She is such a strong protagonist. I love her. I love the world that she is in. The crazy war and schemes that these people go through in the Fae courts is amazing. And then just the way Sarah J. Maas explains things, it's like magic in itself. Like, you can vividly picture yourself being there. Like, you can feel the warmth, you can feel the cold, you can feel the rain on your face. Like, that's how descriptive and how magical her writing really is. Love it. 5 stars. My last book for the month of September. So you know, if you have been watching any of my previous videos since like July or August, the end of July is when I started this. There are 7 books in the Chronicles of Narnia, and I've been trying to chuck along through them. Unfortunately, for September, I only finished 1 book, and that is The Silver Chair, which is the second to last out of all 7 of them. So I'm hoping in October I can finish the last battle, and then I am done with this ginormous bind up of all 7 Chronicle of Narnia books. So The Silver Chair is, you get to see Eustace again, who is a young boy who is the cousin of like the 4, like Peter and Susan and what were the other 2 names? Oh my gosh, I already forgot them. Lucy, all of them. So you get to see Eustace in the book The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which I think is book 5 in Chronicles of Narnia. He comes back in book 6 for The Silver Chair, as well as a girl that he goes to school with named Jill. They are sucked back into Narnia, and Jill is given a mission from Aslan himself that they need to find the lost prince, who is actually the son of King Caspian, who was Prince Caspian in like book 3 or 4, I can't remember. Anyways, and he gets lost, and he's been lost for 10 years, and nobody can find him, and his father, King Caspian, is pretty much thinking he's dead, but he's still searching for him. But he's getting very old, and there's not much more time left, so they really need to find him. The journey that Eustace and Jill have to go through to find Prince Rilian, which is King Caspian's son, and the bonds and the friendships that they make along the way, but also to the journey and the craziness that they have to go through and the adventures are just so hard on these 2, but they are so dedicated and so determined to find this prince. I loved it. It was great. I would have rated this 4, I think, if there was a little bit more action while it was happening, but it felt kind of slow as their journey was progressing, so I'm giving it more like a 3.5. It is rated G. There's really no like gore or violence or swearing in this one, but it was a short read. It was pretty good. I could see why it was still in like the Narnia kind of stuff, but other than that, I'm glad I read it, but I don't think it's one of my favorites out of the 7 that are in this. But other than that, 3.5 stars. And that concludes my September wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked my video, please like and subscribe down below. If you have read any of these books or haven't but would like to, Let me know, comment below. I would love to talk with you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.